So my name is Zach Eagle. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana, and I'm signed up for my second year of Run Rabbit Run race last year, and is super stoked to be back in September. My name is Zach. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana. I'm 30 years old, and I absolutely love to just get outside and kind of test the limits on what our body can do. I went off to college, and as I mentioned, I played soccer, and I decided not to play soccer in college. And triathlon actually really intrigued me, but I had never swam before. So I'm like, if I can figure out the swimming, I've run playing soccer, and I love to cycle, and it translates pretty well between running. So I'm like, I can figure this out. So did triathlon for a while, had a great time with that. But then I'm like, you get to the top of triathlon and you look around and you're always like, what's next? What's our next challenge? So I was reading up on these races that are longer than a marathon, and of course from Ironman, you're thinking like you run 26 miles after biking 112. That sounds crazy. That's impossible. But what's so cool is, you train, it's like anything else, you work at it and it becomes very possible. And then it becomes how fast can you go with it? And then it's like, well, 26 miles isn't enough. I need more of a fix. Kind of explored into 50Ks, did a couple of 50 milers, and then Run Rabbit Run this year will actually be my third 100 miler. So still so much to learn and figuring things out as we go. But it's just really cool to be out there. And most people say they don't want to drive 100 miles, and I'm signing up to run 100 miles, and we have a blast with it. It's all perspective, right? Ultimately these races are a race against one person, and that's yourself. And are you doing your personal best on the day? And results are really a factor of kind of who else is in the race. So I don't really like to look at the results. More so, did I, compete up to my ability on the day? And I think with Run Rabbit Run, I'm really stoked to going back for a second time and have the experience of being there last year. It is a very rugged mountain race, and living here in Indiana, it's a challenge to prepare adequately, but we get creative with it and we do our personal best. I think that the more experience that you can get on the course, the better. Especially, in Steamboat with Run Rabbit. I think, there were a lot of sections that I went through in the dark, that were not very runnable, which I think going through them a second time will be really helpful to kind of know what to expect. And you got to take it 1 mile at a time, but at the same time, in the back of your head, that back half of that course, in the dark, there's going to be some climbing, and there's going to be some going on all fours. So you just make the best of it, and really excited to get back. I think first off, what the race does for charity in the city of Steamboat is exceptional. I think that matters more than anything else. And to give back to the elite athletes is super special. As we know, prize money in ultra running is, not exactly widespread. But for me, this will sound cliche, but it's not about the result. It's about the process. And I found so much joy in the training and the preparation. Race day is really just a reward for all the hard work and a chance to share the experience and create lifelong bonds and friendships. So for me, the the prize money is a nice reward, but it's not on the top of my mind. For sure not on race day, just focused on putting one foot in front of the other and, letting the training really speak for itself. So this is unique, right? Because Run Rabbit starts at 1 o'clock in the afternoon. So we're not starting at, 5 a.m., 6 a.m. like a lot of races do. I think the biggest thing is trying to sleep in as long as possible that morning, just because you're going to be up all through the night, and you really don't want to just sit around there with your hands in your lap, and you're just kind of waiting for the start line. So I think last year, I went on a nice little walk, and we watched, I think I remember watching, it was college football weekend, so just try to really relax, not focus too much on the task ahead, but also just be confident knowing that you've done all the work and all the hay's in the barn. And like I said, the race is really just the reward for everyone's hard work. And it's not a proving ground, it's just a chance to be out there and have a blast. I think race morning is more about just being like, hey, we all made it here, and half the battle is getting to the start line healthy and fit. So I think just really just the attitude of gratitude and being grateful for the opportunity. So I view the training as kind of like the best part of my day, right? Like it's truly the time that I can have to myself and it keeps my mind clear. And there are a lot of times that, I'm running with one phone in the hand and trying to text or answer a phone call while running. But that's just part of the trade-off. And I have so much respect for, you know, quote unquote age group athletes who are doing it at the top level, dealing with family and other life commitments and full-time jobs. I think it's truly incredible what you can really accomplish. And we always say like if it's important to you, you'll make time for it, and if not, you'll make an excuse. So it's been a lot of sacrifices, but at the same time, I don't see it as a sacrifice because it's really what I love. And I think finding the ceiling is really, really exciting. And how far can we take this, and can we continue to improve and get better? Yeah, so honestly, I've been so locked in with training and work that I haven't even had a chance to look at who signed up. But I really don't like to get into that. Like I said, it's really just a race of personal best, and we're racing against ourselves. And if other people, tend to show up, that's awesome. And I can't control how they'll do on the day, and as a result, that's gonna, affect kind of where I finish. But at the same time, I know that if I do my job, that's all I can control, and I've got to be happy with that. I think that's like anything in life, right? Like really, attitude and effort are the only two things that we have full control over. So like it's great to have friendly rivalries and poke fun and go back and forth. But at the same time, like we're all doing something incredibly epic, and I think it's just really, really special to have the opportunity to be out there together, and accomplish this wonderful feat of running 100 miles and seeing how fast we can do it. I think that's incredible. Yeah, absolutely. I think the biggest thing for me is just like stay in the fight, right? Like it doesn't always get worse. And, I think that we can endure so much more than we think we can endure. And part of that is through training, but part of that is just through experience. Like with work, there's been some crazy, crazy situations, and you find a way to deal with them, and you always look back and you see like, wow, I got through all that. And in the moment, you realize like, hey, this is not that big a deal. It's all gonna work out. We're not doing anything crazy here. Um, so I think just having the confidence that like things are gonna get better, and we get to suffer, we get to be out there, and we get to have a blast. And I think suffering for me, I enjoy it. I love it. It means we're pushing our body. It means we're getting better. You don't go to a race like this with the expectation that it's going to be easy. We're signing up for hard, and let's do hard better. So I'm excited to suffer, and I'm embracing those moments. And you can get through them, and you're going to look back and you're going to have regret if you don't get through them. And then when you do get through them, you're going to look back and say, wow, I can get through anything. So you're on 100 miles in the mountains, anything life throws at you is easy. So that's a good question. And I'm trying to think back to last year. So we finished in the morning. It really just kind of depends on like how the stomach's doing, how well did we follow the nutrition plan, a lot of variables there. How did the race go? But for me, it's usually something salty. So, love to treat myself to sweet potato fries, a nice juicy hamburger. But I think last year, I think we went to breakfast. I had some eggs, and then I took a long nap because it wasn't so much physically my legs were toast. It was like I was just tired. I really, like to go to bed early and wake up early. So to be up all night, I was just ready for a nap. I think I also tend to feel better if I don't eat terrible garbage right away either. So, try to keep it as healthy as possible. And definitely that evening, definitely pizza, fries, burgers, all of it. I think over, 18 to 20 hours, you can carry your own stuff with you to a certain point, and you can use what works well for you in training. But obviously, we're not going out and running 20 hours in training, right? Like that's impossible. That's totally not feasible. Um, so I think it really kind of goes off feel and what sounds good at the time, and kind of where your stomach is at and what you can handle. I'm a big fan of peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. Super easy, they go down well. Usually they're made well. I know it's only two ingredients, but it's really hard to get it right. And all the salty snacks. I'm a heavy sweater, so love the pretzels, love the chips. I think last year I actually really liked like the chocolate chip cookies. That just kind of what sounded good at the time, and my stomach was in a good spot. So really kind of just go off feel. But I would say like I'm not opposed to anything. And that sometimes you just got to do what you have to do. So you got to throw all your, the rules out the window, and you just got to go what will fuel you for the next, 5 to 10 miles to the next aid station. So a couple of things. One is I just feel like I have unfinished business. I feel like I had a good day last year, but at the same time, I was a little bit disappointed with the final result. And again, the process leading in, I did everything I could. So looking back on it, I want to finish a little bit stronger, specifically the last after the first 100K, I think the wheels fell off a little bit for the last 40 miles. So I feel like I have unfinished business there. I know the course, a little bit more familiar with what to expect. But also, I think the community of Steamboat, and it's bar none, it's the best of the best. And I really, really had a great race experience. Although the race was super difficult, I think the experience of the weekend was a lot of fun. I wanted to be a part of it again. And then the way that it falls on the calendar with work, it's in a good spot at the end of September to where I can get some time in the mountains and on trails and get out of the Midwest, for end of June, July, and August and be ready to go as much as possible for September. So all those factors combined, stoked to be back. So I think going back for a second year, I feel more comfortable with the concept of that. I think last year, the first year, you're kind of like worried, as you mentioned, like you're going to burn too many matches in the first 3 miles and you have 97 more to go, and you're like, oh no, what have I done? Um, I think we'll just have to see how it plays out. That's definitely not going to be like a goal going in. But at the same time, I shared some miles with the guy who won the Prem last year, and I think it was probably like maybe around halfway, and we were all running really, really strong, and I felt so terrible because I ended up dropping him at some point, and I never saw him again. But we checked the results, and he didn't finish. And I think to get the Prem, you got to finish, right? So I was gutted. We definitely don't want to get into that position, but I think we'll see how it goes. Game time decision, not ruling it out. Yeah, I would love to just be able to spread joy. I hope that people, see it and, they see a smile on my face. And I just truly love to run, and I love to be in the mountains and love to make new friends and do these epic challenges and adventures together. As you mentioned, like you run 100 miles and you're in that fraternity forever, but at the same time, like we share this experience with the 400 plus people that are running this race. And we'll have that bond together forever. And there's really nothing else like it. The highs are high and the lows are low, but you work your way out of them, and that keeps us tied together forever. So I think it's always like, what can we do next? What epic adventure is next? And how can we continue to be the best version of ourselves? I think that translates to all aspects of life, not just on the trails. So I think I'm not alone in this, but I kind of like see the music as a reward. So like I don't want to burn that match and use it too early. So I think I ended up using it like around 2, 3 in the morning last year and brought it out. Um, and just a shuffle of all sorts of things. Not like a heavy rap guy by any means, but everything else I'm pretty chill with. But I think that honestly I got sick of the music at some point too. You're just so focused on like getting to the finish line. It's like the music becomes another thing to worry about. But yeah, definitely like not going to burn that match too early. We'll have a playlist on tap for sure if we need it, and we'll have the headphones if we need them. But it's something to look forward to. So my name is Zach Eagle. I'm from Indianapolis, Indiana, and I am signed up for my second year of Run Rabbit Run race last year, and it's super stoked to be back in September. You can follow me on Strava. My name is Zach Eagle. And then Instagram, I'm a light poster on Instagram, but I think we'll see more things throughout the summer. And that handle is at ZEagle21. So really appreciate you guys. Thank you for the opportunity, and just super excited to be back in Steamboat and have an epic summer, more importantly, of training and getting ready for this awesome, awesome adventure.